What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode 5 of the Unlockables podcast. My name is Eric. Thank you as always for tuning in, wherever and whenever in time and space you might be located. We always appreciate you spending just a little bit of your time with us whenever you might be listening. Maybe it's your first time, maybe it's your 5th time because there's only 5 episodes. I don't know. But enough about that because I am very excited. I have an amazing guest waiting in the wings. I think it's probably the closest we come to a actual certifiable real life Pokemon master and host of all things Play Along podcast. It is Jared from the Play Along podcast. Jared, how's it going, my man?
Hey guys, it's good to be here. Good to finally have this collaboration happen. Thanks for having me, man.
Dude, no problem. Like I said, I told Dave the same thing, and I told the list off guys too. Off to a great start already. That before we went on hiatus with side questing, I really regretted not having like you guys on, and now this is my opportunity to rectify that. So how's things all been on your end? I know that you're kind of on the other side of the country than me, so how's everything going out there?
It is good, man. It is chilling. The time has changed, which is always weird, and we're one of the few weird states that's like, hey, let's go forward an hour or let's go back an hour because why not? So it's been good though. Big chillin'.
Same here. I think most of the Midwest does that because I guess farmers maybe. I don't know.
Makes more sense. We don't have an excuse. California is just weird.
It's right. Yeah. I don't know how many more actual states do it because some of my friends are just like, what do you mean? Like it's the same time here. And I'm like, no, that's not how this works at all. It's like I have to get up earlier now.
And then trying to set up like recordings. It's like, oh wait, we're an hour closer than we were before. So we have to do different times. Oh man.
Right. But hey, we're here now. So that's all good. It's all good. So
right. Exactly.
Yeah. So we always start off, and I steal this from like every other podcast. Just wanted to ask you, what have you been playing lately?
Oh man, I've been playing clearly Disco Elysium for the podcast, and that has been a wild ride.
Shout out.
Disco Elysium is a crazy adventure. The game is beautiful. The writing is wild, but I'm having a good time. Outside of the podcast, I've been playing Dark Souls. I've jumped into Dark Souls for the first time. Never played a Dark Souls game before, and I was like, let's start here. Let's start with Dark Souls. It has been good. It has been a good adventure. I think those games get a bad rap. I think that there's this stigma now that those games are impossibly hard. You should avoid them if all possible. It's great. I'm enjoying my time. Am I dying and getting the shit beat out of me every 5 seconds? Of course, but that's part of the process.
I think that you're absolutely right. That does kind of get a bad rep there. Dark Souls, it's hard, but at least in my experience, I've played a little bit of 1 and some of Sekiro. Yeah. It at least seems to be like fair to the point where like if you die, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, like I kind of deserve that. I got greedy or I overextended or something like that.
Absolutely. So. I'm at the point where I just kind of like laugh at myself and been like, you dumbass, you could have like, you dodge rolled off that ledge. That's 100% your own fault. And it's like, yeah.
Right. You can't be mad here. You can't be mad. Sit back down.
Exactly. A lot of Pokemon. Legends Arceus. I've been plugging away at that PokeDex. I'm trying to get research level 10 on everything. It's been a grind and I'm still enjoying that game so much.
Have you like completed it all for like the end game stuff, or is that what you're working through right now?
No, I've done all the end game stuff. Like the only thing I have left is with like get all the Pokemon in the Pokedex, meet Arceus, and then go through that and everything. So that's where I'm at. Yeah, I've done all the post game stuff and all the battles that happen then, which are always it was an adventure.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna definitely talk about that game a little bit later for sure. But I've kind of been in the same boat too. I finished Legends Arceus on my honeymoon because my wife goes to bed before me, and so I was like, sweet. Like I know I'm supposed to be on the honeymoon, but she's already asleep. So
this is part of the honeymoon. Playing Pokemon is part of the honeymoon.
She knew. She was like, you can't buy this like 2 days before our wedding, and I'm like, watch me. Like I totally can.
She knew what she was signing up for. It's part of the deal.
She actually brought it home for me, even though she was like, are you really going to get this for the wedding? So it means that she really does love me. So I really appreciate that. But yeah, so I kind of went away from it after I beat it on the honeymoon. And then, starting to come back to it and starting to, let's do research level 10. Let's catch literally everything because I want to get that end game for sure.
Yeah.
I've been going back to that, continuing to play Forbidden West. I might be the only person left playing Forbidden West since
I want to jump into it so bad. But I was like, I need to do all the things that I've been doing now and then move on because between Forbidden West and Elden Ring, it's like they'll be there. And
we got some big games this start of this year, man. Some big ones.
Pokemon later, God of War. If Zelda comes out this year too, it's just gonna be I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life.
I can't even. I can't even. So yeah, I've been chipping away. I think I'm pretty close to the end of Forbidden West. I feel like I am. I was doing like every single side thing as it came up, but eventually I was just like, hey, there's other stuff coming out. I need to finish this. I want to see how it ends. I got to the point where in the story where it's like super gripping. So I was like, let's just finish it out, and then I can always come back to the side stuff at a later point in time because, for better or worse, after Horizon, I will be playing Stranger of Paradise. And man,
it's weird. I've seen so many people excited for that, and I think because of how much of just a meme it is, that's kind of what it seems like. I was like, 'cause I watched a gameplay and I watched like the story stuff, and I was like, this game's fucking weird. Like what? I mean, I understand it's Final Fantasy, so I understand, but this feels like a step above normal kind of just batshit crazy, bizarro adventures.
Right. And I think I kind of like talked myself into it because for ever since that trailer came out last year where it was just like the kill chaos meme, right? And like Keith and I would meme that like every single week we talk about it. And then like as it started getting closer, I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna actually like kill chaos. It's gonna happen. I was like saying it unironically, and I'm like, this is gonna happen now. That game looks to be peak Tetsuya Nomura for sure. That game looks weird, and I am for it. Like let's go. Let's
and having Team Ninja behind the development of the game is like okay, this is gonna just be a fun like hack and slash kind of just weird adventure.
I think it's good. I'm not going into it seriously. So, I mean, I think that's probably, if you go into it seriously, you probably will be disappointed. If you just go into it being like, hey, this is going to be hilarious.
Right.
Like, let's just go. So, I'll probably be playing that. Like you said, Kirby's coming out later this month. So I'm super stoked for Kirby.
Kirby, have you played the demo yet?
I have not, but I've seen it and it just looks incredible. So
it's fun. I've seen a lot of people compare it to like, I've seen a lot of people say like Mario Odyssey. It's less Mario Odyssey and more like a 3D World.
That's awesome.
It's more like Super Mario 3D World than Odyssey. It's less like open and expansive, and it's just more like those kind of linear, but it doesn't feel linear because the game looks beautiful and the background environments are really cool too. But it's a lot of fun. I'm so excited for a new Kirby game. We're definitely due for one.
I am too. I don't know like what the general consensus on Kirby is, but I've always liked Kirby.
I love Kirby. He's great.
How can you be mad at that little pink ball of fluff? You know,
exactly.
Or no, I guess he's not fluff. I guess he's expanded.
I don't want to know the consistency of Kirby's skin. Is it flesh like consistency? That's just like, I don't know. The whole car stuff too. It's like
we're going down like the feet path now. Let's avoid talking about that at all costs.
Exactly.
And then I have been playing a little bit of Advance Wars. I don't know if I can legally say this, but just have it emulated on the old laptop. Ooh, no, terrible. Just been playing a little bit of that just because I was getting pumped for the remake release, but obviously, pushed off for good reasons.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited for those. You've made me excited for them. I'm like, okay, Eric loves these things so much. I need to try them out because I missed them on the Game Boy and everything. Mm-hmm. And I like strategy RPGs kind of like that. Like, So I'm excited to jump into it.
It's something if you've ever been interested in Fire Emblem, but just kind of turned off about like all the weird stuff about Fire Emblem and like hey, if your person dies, like they're gone. This is very much this is very much accessible where it's just like, oh, I lost my tank, like I'll just build another one. Like there's no emotional attachment, and it's something you can just pick up and play for like 10-15 minutes and then set it down and come back to it. So I think the Switch is the Switch is gonna be perfect
for that. Oh, it's absolutely perfect. So I'm excited when that actually comes out.
So that'll come out when it comes out. It's fine. The Advance Wars community has been waiting a long time for that. We can wait a little while longer. We'll be all right.
If anything, like it is bold, like that close. I mean, I understand because of like the state of the world and everything, but between like PR stuff and advertising, like stuff's probably already like in the works and ready to go. And just to be like, stop that is probably a big hit on them, definitely.
Yeah, but I think that'll just. I just think it's definitely the right move for sure. And
100%.
So kudos to Nintendo and everybody else that stepped up for that whole situation and really. I mean, it sucks for the people, in those countries that have nothing to do with it. Obviously, we're not get super political, but it's the right thing to do. And hopefully we'll just see an end to this all very soon.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. That's the ideal.
All right, so Jared, I want to ask you a little bit, since this is the whole point of the show that I do here. I just want to ask you about your show, the Play Along Podcast, and I want to also ask you about the epic origin of, the trio of Jared, Kai, and Ben. How did that whole thing come together?
Oh man. So Kai and I are related. Kai's my cousin. So we've been playing games literally our entire life. So we've always played video games together. We've always enjoyed talking about games. Me and Ben met back in 2015 or so. So there's been other podcasts prior to Play Along, and I will be revealing them here. And if you want to go listen to them, then sure, why not? But yeah, so back around like 2015 or so, I wanted to start like a podcast or like a gaming channel, and I called it Game and a Half. Don't know why. I was like, Game and a Half sounds cool. It's more than a game. It's Game and a Half. Whatever.
That's actually really cool. I like that a lot. I gotta say.
And it just started as like an Instagram channel where I like posted about news. I posted like news that was happening, and then I posted about like games that I was playing, and then me and one of my high school friends like did like little segments of like fun facts and little things about video games here and there. But I followed Ben's gaming account on Instagram, Games Bulletin. And then he had reached out to me on Instagram, and he was like, "Hey, my website's looking for writers. Would you want to write for me?" And I was like, "Hell yeah. Like, I love video games. I would an excuse to talk about video games more. Like, that sounds amazing." So yeah, around 2015, I started writing for his website. And then it wasn't too long after that, probably like maybe a couple months or so, he's like, "Hey, I'm also starting a podcast. Do you want to be part of that podcast?" And I had never done podcasts before. And I was like, of course, like, why not? Let's try this out. And I just fell in love with kind of like this style of format, like the podcasting environment and talking about games in that sense. It started out as like news, which I imagine how most of these gaming podcasts started, was just kind of like covering the news that was happening. But then we just like diverged and went into like just gaming topics and everything. I did that for a couple years. And then I got married, so I kind of took a hiatus from that, and I took a very long break from doing any kind of podcasting or anything like that. And then I think it was like right before quarantine, right before 2020 happened, Kai and I was like, let's bring the Game and a Half back. Let's do a podcast together. And we did news for a while. And that was like strictly on the Google Music app or whatever that was back in the day, before it got absorbed into what it is now. So I don't know if you can find those anymore, but because we were doing it off of Podbean, I think. But unless you paid for it, you only got like 5 hours of like content. So we only did like a couple episodes on that,
right? And
then we're like, okay, let's move away from news. We'll post our videos on YouTube, and we'll do like gaming topics. So we went on to Reddit, and it was like r/true gaming or something. And that was our whole shtick. We would like get a bunch of like conversation starters from there, and then we just talk about that. So if you go on YouTube and type in Game and a Half, you can go listen to Kai and I talk about in a very cringy format, gaming topics, very early podcasting stuff. But yeah, we stopped that. Ironically, like when 2020 happened, we stopped that. When we had more time on our hands, we did less podcasting. We just played a bunch of video games. And that was what we did while we were both graduated from college and still looking for employment at that point. But then I had this idea for a podcast because I was listening to a podcast called Experience Share. And pretty much what they do is they play through Pokemon games, and they do it like gym by gym. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool to like do that, but with every video game, kind of like break it up into sections and kind of talk about it as you go through. And I pitched to Kai and Ben, and they're both like, yeah, you need to do this. We need to do this right now. Like I was looking around, I didn't see any kind of like book club styled podcasts before. And I was like, let's do this. And then here we are, a year and some change later, it's still going hard.
Nice. That is awesome. Let me ask you about your experience with how did you enjoy writing? Because I kind of took a similar path to doing this as you did. I originally started off like I did an NBA podcast because I was a huge NBA fan. So me and my buddy would just come and like do the NBA news every single week, and that was like in the earlier days, and we hosted ours on like Bandcamp. So that was like even further old school. Right. So And then I started to like do video game stuff. We did the Blame It on the Lag with Tom and our other friend. And while I was doing that, I was trying to like write on my own website, I call it the Hype Train blog. And so I would just write about like stuff that was coming out where I'd review video games or talk about like shows or movies or stuff like that. And I found that interesting. I don't really think people appreciate like how much work goes into that, because I was just like, I'll just like bang out an article. I'll do like 3-4 articles up like every single week, and I was just like writing like one every other week, and I'm like, that's a lot of work.
It's a lot. It definitely like puts things into perspective. Like hearing or like seeing people that like do guides for games, I'm like, that is a mission. Like writing a guide for a game, doing every single thing and having to break down everything and then format it into like an understandable format for someone that's coming on the internet looking for something is like,
oh my God,
that's crazy.
That stresses me out just thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it was the same thing. Like I enjoyed writing and I enjoyed the whole concept of it. I'd never really liked writing in the past, but I always also think that is because of the material that I was using. I just saw it as like, oh, writing is like talking about video games, but in obviously this written format. And I enjoyed it much more then. But no, it was really cool because we also got like games early. Like we got review codes for games, and I actually did a review on 2 games. The first one I did was Neon Abyss, which was kind of like this roguelike shooter, and then Windbound, which was almost like a Wind Waker Zelda-esque game. But it was really cool to get those early and then have to like write a review for them too. So that was some of like the peak content when I was writing for Ben. It was awesome.
That is super cool. Yeah, that's when you like know you like starting to make it. It's like, yo, people are sending us stuff. Like that's crazy.
Right, exactly. So it was a lot of fun. But I mean, I was like the Nintendo guy, clearly, because I love Nintendo and everything. So like when Pokemon stuff came out or Zelda articles came out, I was always writing about all that stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys obviously, like you said, you play these video games in like a book style club. You divide the game into segments and play sections at a time, and then you just get on and talk about them.
Yeah.
So how do you go about like deciding how that works, and how do you like go about deciding what games you're going to play next? I mean, obviously when I first saw your guys' podcast and you guys had some, I think I jumped on when you guys were doing Kentucky Route Zero.
Oh, nice.
And, you know, I was scrolling through and I was like, well, it's like the first episode. And I saw the very first game you guys tackled was Ocarina of Time. I was like, oh man, I'm like, these guys are not messing around.
We're not messing around. We're starting out strong. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you kind of decide like what you're going to play next? Or does everyone kind of like take turns, or do you guys kind of like talk about, oh, like this would be cool, that would be cool?
So it started off that way. It started off as us like having a very open conversation of like what we want to play and what we should play, and we had like a running list of like things that we were interested in, like that we all like plugged away at whenever. And then we'd come together and be like, is it on this platform? How much is the cost? Is it on Game Pass, kind of thing? But then Ben had the cool idea kind of like halfway through of like, the listeners are also kind of uninformed or are in the dark when it comes to what we're playing next. How interesting would it be if the other 2 co-hosts were also in the dark about that?
Oh.
So we started picking up on that, and that was really fun because then we got get our reactions in the moment. So we do switch between each person. So every person gets to pick a game, and then we also do an interstitial, which is kind of just a one and done episode about a game. And so each person gets to do 2 games. And then the other 2 don't know what it is. So at the end of one series, the next person gets to announce their game, and the other 2 co-hosts have no idea. We still have some semblance of a conversation because we're like, how much does it cost? If it's like $60, then it's like, are you willing to pay $60 for this type of game? Or if it's on Game Pass, we still discuss like platform, but we try to keep the game itself in the dark as much as possible.
It's like, hey, you have to go on eBay and buy this game for $400.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
It's like, that's okay, my pick.
Yeah, in those instances, we'd be like, hey, this is the game. Are you willing to pay this much for it? And if it's like, yes, then we move on. Or if it's like, no, then we'll find something else. How we break up the games is usually like, I just look up a guide. Disco Elysium has been probably the most difficult one to break up, just because it's just like, do what you want each day. And it's like, well, that's not a good format. How am I supposed to break that up? But it also adds into kind of like interesting dynamic between all of us, because what we decided to do with that game was just break it up by day, and then we can talk about kind of what we did. And some people experience different things, and some people experience things but in different ways. So it's been really cool kind of doing it that way.
Absolutely. I think that is there. So a lot of the games you guys pick are I would say are probably easily able to be done in probably like 6 to 8 episodes, I think, if that's correct. Probably, would you say?
Yeah, around
probably. There. I would say probably the longest one I remember is Super Mario RPG. That one was that was quite a journey. That
was a journey.
So do you think?
A harrowing journey.
Which I I was not too pleased with the end, but we'll talk about that another time. It's fine.
Yeah.
But is there anything that you would think that, hey, like we got to try and keep this 6 to 8 episodes? So is that like, would you ever try to tackle something as like massive as like Persona 5? It's like 100 hours long, or just anything that bigger like that?
That's kind of been the kind of crutch for this format, is like, if we want to do anything that's really long, it's kind of hard because we're shooting between like you said, between at the lowest, like I think the least we've done is 4 episodes. Like I think Metal Gear was like 4 episodes, and then the most being 9, which was Metal Gear. I'm sorry, not Metal Gear Solid, Super Mario RPG. And it's like, okay, we kind of went to both spectrums, and we found a kind of a nice in between where like between 5 and 7 episodes seems to be good, with like not only us playing it, but like retention and people watching. And like, I know that's all like varied on what game we're playing and everything, but that has kind of been like the perfect sweet spot there. But no, tackling larger games is like, I want to do like a Final Fantasy, or I want to do other games that are like, I want to do Twilight Princess. And I looked and it's like 36 hours or something. And I was like, that's too long for a Zelda game. Because Ocarina of Time was, I think, 25 or 26. And there might be ways for us to do it. It just might be us packing content into like 1 week episodes and everything, which just requires us to play a lot of the game. And, you know, life gets in the way, jobs and everything like that. And then, so the other option I was thinking is like, okay, well, what if we do longer games for our Get Wrecked? You know, we play some of it and then we discuss like, out of what we played, would we continue playing this? And Ben loves Persona 5. So Persona 5 was honestly one of the ones we talked about, but it was almost like spending a week with Persona 5 and getting like, I don't know, 10, 30 hours in it is not doing that game service at all, because that game is like 110 plus hours, just normal story. So it's just like, we're still trying to figure out that. We definitely want to do longer games because there's a lot out there that it's controversial, but I really want to do Final Fantasy 13 because I think that game's great.
I honestly don't think that's controversial at all. I mean,
okay.
Hey,
I feel like a lot of people hate 13, and I was like, I kind of liked it.
I would say it's probably on the bottom spectrum of my favorite Final Fantasy games, but looking kind of at that era of Final Fantasy through the lens of the 7 remake, which just came out a couple years ago, I think is super fascinating, because I think you see from like Final Fantasy X onward, that like that's when I quote unquote Nomura era starts. He fully takes over, and like he's obviously trying all this crazy shit in all these Final Fantasy games he's putting out, and I think that's everything they learned from 13 and 15 like got distilled into its purest form in the 7 remake. So despite, you know, the obvious problems that 13 had, at least in my opinion,
the hallway simulator,
but it's still an important step on the path to like 7 remakes. So it's super important. So. I agree with that. But yeah, I think that would be interesting. And you brought up an interesting point too, where it's like, do you want to try and cram like 30 hours of Persona in like every single week?
Yeah, and exactly.
That could lead to like it affecting like your opinion of the game, in my opinion,
100%.
Which is something that I think about when these reviewers, like you mentioned, you get a review code for a giant game and you have a week to play it and review it.
Cram it, and then that affects your opinion on it.
I would feel super. I mean, I played like 7 hours of Horizon last week, and I was like, I feel burnt out. Like, this is crazy.
Exactly.
How could you play 50 hours of a game in like 4 days and write an honest review about it? Like, that's difficult.
No, it's crazy. So, it's crazy.
Yeah. How long? You guys just celebrated 1 year, 2 years? How long have you guys been doing that? This?
Yeah, 1 year. So we started February of last year.
Okay. So I always like to ask, in about the year you've been doing the show, is there anything that has kind of surprised you that maybe you've learned about your gaming tastes and the things that you've played for the show? Did you expect to like go into a game like really expecting to like it and ended up hating it, or like vice versa? You expected to hate something and really liked it? Kind of some of those opinions.
Yeah. One of the things that I really enjoy, and I'm slowly still learning from this too, and I kind of got this mindset from you and your podcasts of why of like, why am I doing this? Like what is the purpose of the content that I'm putting out there, besides just like kind of be entertaining and fun? And one of the things that I've learned from playing all these different games is kind of just, and that's why I really like our spin-off series Get Wrecked, is that people all over the world have like their own personal emotional attachments to certain games. And like I said, like you said, we started with Ocarina of Time. Like that was something that I absolutely loved. And Ben had never played it before. So just watching him
Wow.
experience Ocarina of Time for the first time was like made me giddy and made me feel like a kid again. And then vice versa. We played Metal Gear as our second one, and I had never touched a Metal Gear game before. And just having people be like, here's this thing that I really love and I'm really passionate about, and I want you to experience it with me. And like games that you might have never touched before, like Dark Souls for me. Like I would have never played Dark Souls, but he's like, hey, you should play Dark Souls. It's great. And I'm like, okay. And now I'm absolutely loving it. And games that I would like never even look at or never turn to, I'm finding that I can find some kind of connection with it, rather than just be the basis of like, this is something that somebody really loves and I can appreciate that, you know, and I can take that into consideration and find something that I love about this game, even if it's not my favorite. A game that I thought I loved and didn't, Super Mario RPG, man. It was gonna happen. Keith, I'm sorry. I know you recommended that to us. I love Paper Mario so much. Like I loved the N64 one. I love Thousand Year Door. I've played a lot of them since then. The Mario and Luigi games, like the Mario RPGs, I've always really enjoyed. So I went into this. There's a lot of hype around it, and that might have been the problem too.
Mm-hmm.
And I can appreciate it on like a foundational sense. Like I understand it, but man, I didn't love it as much as I thought I would.
Was that the first time you ever played Mario RPG?
Yep, that was my first time.
Okay, so that's interesting that you had that opinion because yeah, you had seen like the Paper Marios and the Mario RPG, the Superstar Saga, which I love those games. They're fantastic.
Great.
Yeah. So yeah, I could totally see like you having experienced that game after playing these. Yeah, it's easy to see through that lens. I've looked forward from there. Like that was the first Mario RPG was the first thing I ever played, and I looked forward from there. So that's interesting. I think that's really cool too that you guys all get to kind of experience it differently because there like are three of you, and yeah, that was really cool getting to see like you guys were so excited about Ocarina of Time, and then Ben getting to like experience it for the first time. I was very much similar to that, so I can relate to that on like an emotional level because yeah, I didn't play Ocarina of Time till I was like in my late 20s.
Yeah, see, that's crazy. That gets me excited though. I love when people say that. I'm like, cool, play. Even if you don't like it and you're like, this is a clunky game, like at least on the basis of like seeing how that affected gaming going forward, you can appreciate the little things like Z targeting or like the 3D camera and everything like that.
It was one of the few games where I've been doing this a lot lately where I've missed like big games that have come out in the past and they've been so hyped to me. I always use Undertale as the example. Like everyone was like, you got to play Undertale.
Still haven't done Undertale yet. I haven't played that.
So I played that last year, and obviously going into it, I knew its reputation was just, you know, like its praises had been sung for years,
Absolutely.
right?
That's all I really know about that game is people think it's incredible.
Yeah. So I went into it, and I gotta say, it's a great game. I had a lot of fun with it. I think it absolutely, you know, deserves whatever praise it gets.
Yeah.
I think it had been so overhyped that I was expecting it to just be like this. I don't know what it was to like make me feel a certain way. And by the end of it, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, like this was a really great game. I didn't necessarily feel the hype, and maybe I had to like just be around at the start to experience it.
I think that's definitely true because with Super Mario RPG 2, I think I was going in with like, I'm going to have like Thousand Year Door sense of like emotions and attachment, and there's a lot of nostalgia around Thousand Year Door, so I don't think it would ever have lived up to that hype in the first place. And it just like, I think that was kind of my problem going in, is with the expectation, because like you said, of how much it was talked about and how much like it's the beginning of the series that I love so much, and I think that's was kind of like what fell short for me.
Yeah, and it's like one of the most unique things too, because it's like the true last collaboration between Nintendo and Square. So that's interesting. I compare it to I came out to LA for E3 in 2017.
Oh, nice!
Which was
that was a
cool
good
experience.
year for E3. Oh man.
Yeah, it was. It was like the first year they opened it up to the public, so it was super cool. But you know, being from the Midwest, people would journey to, you know, the far west and bring back tales of In-N-Out, right? They bring back tales of In-N-Out. This is the greatest thing ever, right? So I finally got to go have In-N-Out in 2017. In-N-Out's fucking great. It's delicious, but it got so overhyped that there's no way it's going to live up to my expectations. Like In-N-Out was great. We have Five Guys burgers and fries here in the Midwest. I don't know if they have that.
Yeah, we have Five Guys here too. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, I'm like, this is comparable. Sure. Yeah. But
they're coming from someone that like experiences it and eats it a lot. It's like okay burgers, and they have shitty fries. the worst fries that I've ever had. In-N-Out. In-N-Out, you have terrible fries. I'm calling you out. If you're listening, In-N-Out, which I hope you will, I'm calling you out.
I think the advantage Five Guys has is like if you order like a small fry, they'll just fill 3/4 of your bag.
Oh yeah, they're like, here's
and
more
it's just
fries,
like,
and you're like, oh
yeah,
cool. I'm
like,
fine with that.
I didn't order this many, but okay, thank you.
Because I have to eat it now.
Yeah. So you've mentioned a couple of times. I want to talk about your other episodes you do on the feed. Get Wrecked. Could you just tell me a little bit about what you guys do on those, because that's a super cool concept.
Yeah, so like starting with the play along episodes, it's really hard to incorporate guests into that. And I really like talking to other people and meeting other people. And that's why play along has been so great with just us three, is like getting different gaming opinions between us three has been fantastic. So I really wanted to pull other people in, and other people from different like podcasts, all these amazing people that I've met. But I was like, how are we going to do this? Because it is, I guess we can like dump people on like in the beginning of a series or in the middle, and if they've played it before, but what if they're not playing along? There's all kind of this weird, like, how are we going to make this work? And then I was like, we should do kind of like a one-on-one, almost not necessarily interview, but kind of conversation with just a single one of us from play along, and then another individual. And it was, again, kind of like this idea of, like you were saying, like for myself, there's so many huge franchises or indie games or, any kind of games that I've passed by. I've never played a God of War game before. Like there's so many large franchises that I've missed that other people have experienced and absolutely love. And I was like, I want to get people together and have them recommend a game that they really enjoyed that the other person hasn't played, and then vice versa. And then that was kind of the concept for the show. And it's been so much fun because I've got to experience games that I would rather have not. And then I've got to tell people about and have people play games that I really love, and then share that love with them and talk to them about that too.
That's super cool. And I've also experienced that like listening, especially to like Disco Elysium on that you guys are going through now.
Yeah.
I just would never think, I was very much, until I started doing this podcast, like confined in what my gaming tastes were. I played a lot of like giant AAA. Like before I started doing the podcast, I played Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 probably like religiously for hundreds of hours every single week. And then Monster Hunter World came out. So I'd pick up like 2 games a year and just play them for hundreds of hours.
Yep, same.
And once I started listening to like other people's podcasts, I was like, wow, I'm missing so much. Like it's insane, like how much I had missed just focusing on like these big splashy things that had come out. So
there's so many good indie games out there. So many good indie games. And
like that's what your show has turned me on to, like Kentucky Route Zero. I'm like, I'm gonna go play that now because that sounds incredible. Really, and Disco Elysium too, which I was like, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I never would have even looked at Disco Elysium. And now just hearing you guys play it, I'm just like, whoa. This sounds like just absolutely crazy, like so well written and just so incredible. So
yeah, that's all. Kai is our designated indie lover on the podcast. And it's the same thing. Like games like Kentucky Route Zero and games like Disco Elysium, I probably would have never like given a second look. But I think indie games where they don't have kind of the pressure of being this big like a AAA title can tackle more emotional and more human concepts. And I think that is way more relatable and has way more of a lasting impression than like a large AAA does.
And they're able to tackle these more like adult, mature themes.
Absolutely.
And again, Disco Elysium being the example, like it's all these themes about life and politics and all, and just the corporate structures of the world and all this crazy stuff that I was just like, that sounds like it'd be terrible if you would pitch the game to somebody to put in a video game, but it's delivered in such a unique and interesting way, especially with the the D&D dice rolls on top of it. That's just
it's so weird, dude. Yeah. We were playing yesterday and I failed like an 85% check, and I was like, this is fucking D&D for you. God damn it. Okay, dude. I guess this is how it's going.
Yeah, that's the Fire Emblem curse, I call it. So when you go into battle in Fire Emblem, you have a % chance to hit, and you'll miss. Like 95% chance to hit, you'll miss. And then like a bad guy will like, as long as he doesn't hit me twice with his 20% chance to hit, he'll hit you twice and kill you, and just be like, yeah, this game's fucking rigged.
It's all the percentages. Pokemon's the same way. You'll miss 95 accurate moves all the time.
Right. But this guy's just, shooting fucking 75% accurate moves and hitting 4 times in a row. So dumb. Let's get this out of here. So you said, like, obviously you have like the Get Wrecked episode. So I just wanted to ask, do you have any other plans to kind of expand on the formula of the show at all? Like do other kind of spin-off mini shows within the feed like Get Wrecked? Do you have any kind of plans to do something like that? Or maybe you're saving them. I don't know. Maybe you don't want to divulge them on here.
Yeah. No. The biggest thing right now that we're wanting to get into is streaming too. So we're setting that up to get a stream. I know Ben had streamed personally, and he might really wants to get back into streaming. So this is a great excuse for him. And I
That's
think
awesome.
that it's streaming games that like whatever game you want to play. But then for me too, I think streaming my own playthroughs of the game that we're playing for the podcast, because I think it's just another avenue for people to experience. It's called Play Along Podcast, and it's awesome if people are playing the game along. But what I've learned by doing this is I appreciate the experiencing too. A lot of people will get into a game like Doki Doki and be like, well, I'm never gonna possibly play this, but I'm really enjoying experiencing it through you talking about it. And if I can get that, but like, oh, I'll go watch, I'm not going to play this game, but I'll go watch you stream this game instead. And I'll get my experience with it through that way. And who knows, maybe I'll like get enticed enough where I want to play along, or I grab the game myself, or I got enough out of it by just watching someone else play or listening to someone else play. So I think that's really cool.
There really is a certain magic to it, because I was playing Brilliant Diamond alongside you guys when you were playing it, because you guys played
nice.
pretty much right when
awesome.
it came out. Yeah, and it was just super cool, because just listening to you guys talk about where you were in the game, and I was like, oh, I remember like when I was here, like that happened to me. And you guys obviously upped the ante by doing Nuzlocke, because I'm not that brave.
It was a mission, man. The ending of that game was so sad for me. I still haven't jumped back into it, by the way. I still not tackled.
You killed me too, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Nobody's safe during a Nuzlocke. You can't guarantee anything.
No one's safe. So yeah, that's it for the time being. But I don't know where it's going to go, but I definitely want to expand and try different things, maybe different like smaller shows, or expand, get rec in some way, or have like, I think having a larger collaboration of like podcasters would be cool. Like a single show that has like, we have Get Wrecked as just one-on-one, but just has like multiple people from different shows and kind of pick from a lot of people and have like a group thing. I think that'd be super cool.
Yeah.
No idea how to do that or what that entails. The ideas are kind of like coming as I'm talking right now, but I think that'd be really cool.
Let's just have like 30 people on one episode and just see what happens.
We need
somebody to listen to that.
We need a podcaster con, and then we'll all go and go to podcast conventions. I don't know if that's a thing already. It might be.
I have thought about that. I was like, it'd be super cool if we could get a bunch of us to go meet up somewhere. I thought that would be super cool. And it's easier for me. For some people, I know Keith lives relatively near to me. He lives in the same region, not to like rat him out where he lives. So I was like, oh, that'd be easy.
On the
yeah, right. Just be like, yo, he lives here. Like, you're just call and blow up his text messages. Let's go.
That'd be super cool though. I'm down.
Yeah. I'm glad because I was like, am I weird for thinking this? And
no,
I'm glad
so
that other people are thinking it.
I've just met so many cool people from this, and I love like interacting with people and meeting people, and like especially in the realm of video games, hearing different loves and hearing different passions. I'm like, that's what like drives me. Like that's super cool.
Right. I pitched the idea to my wife. I'm like, it'd be cool to like meet some of these people in real life. She's like, you want to meet strangers on the internet in real life?
My
I'm
wife
like,
said the exact
absolutely,
same thing.
I do.
Like, why do you want to meet these people? Like, I'm like, they're my friends. They're like, you just like talk online, right? And I was like, you don't understand me. You don't get it.
It's super weird because
it's so strange.
I mean, we do communicate a lot via message, and it very rarely is it via like voice chat like this, right? But in a weird kind of way, it almost feels like we have, because like I've listened to your guys' show for like almost
we like you're like
now,
you recognize the voice, and you know the voice, and you know the person talking. Like anytime I've collaborated with other podcasters recently, like when I did we're doing a Get Wrecked with Dave, it's just like we've talked for so much, and we're just kind of like friends. We're just hanging out, and like we've never actually had a face-to-face like conversation with our voice, but we've talked so much and listened to each other's shows where it's just fun and comes natural.
Right, and that's definitely one of the coolest things. So
absolutely.
Jared, thank you so much for sharing about your show. And you've touched on some of it a little bit, but I want to get more into talking about you specifically.
Oh, good.
So I just want to kind of ask, where did your journey with gaming begin? Like, what has it kind of meant to you in your life?
Yeah, so mine's interesting. So it all started kind of, I was a very rambunctious kid. I was like most probably young boys, very fidgety, very like hyperactive, and it got to a point where I was very like disruptive in class. Like I would tap on desks and I would do anything, and they're like, "Well, this kid is wild. Let's take him into the doctor." And they're like, "Well, this kid has like ADD or ADHD or whatever they diagnosed me with back then." So they gave me like crazy, like adult, like talking to my mom about now, like crazy adult dosages for like the medicine, which is kind of like drained me. Like I don't really remember a lot of that time, but my mom would tell me that like, oh, you were just like drained during the day. But I remember being up all night, like having crazy insomnia, and I was like probably like
Wow.
five or six or something like that. Um, and one of the things that was part of that kind of this like helping me deal with this hyperactive this ADHD was going to counseling. And so I had to go and talk to a counselor. And one of the things that he helped me with was video games. What we would do is I'd sit there, we talk for a little bit, ask me how my day was, and he'd pull back like his like whiteboard or whatever, and he had a Super Nintendo, and we'd play Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country. And then he would like sit me down and like ask me how I felt about the games and ask me what I liked and what I disliked, teaching me how to concentrate on something and then retain information and then be able to regurgitate that back, because I was someone that was so like hyperactive and I couldn't concentrate. Video games was how he taught me how to like concentrate and focus. So that's where it started. My like first video games I played was Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country, which fantastic games to start with.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
I gotta say I was not expecting that. That's super cool. And how insightful of that guy to be like, hey,
I
this
don't
is a
know who
tool
he
that
is or where he's at, but he kind of started after that. We had moved to these apartments, and then I had a buddy that had the Nintendo 64, and I was like, "Mom, I want that." And then I actually stumbled upon, because I'm a little younger, so I was like, by the time I got Nintendo 64, like the GameCube was coming out, so I've always kind of been like a generation behind. I always got like the older console.
Mhm.
And I got Ocarina of Time on a whim at a pawn shop, and I was like, that game looks cool. I want to grab it. And then I played it, and I was like, this is incredible. It blew
Right.
my small child mind.
That's I was gonna say that's incredibly insightful of that
Yeah.
guy you were seeing to just be
Yeah.
like, hey, video games is a tool that can like help with this sort of thing.
Absolutely.
That's not something I would ever like expect. And man, our journey started off at the same stop, my friend. It was Super
Yeah.
Mario World was the
Oh,
first thing
it's
that I
so
ever
good. I
played.
love
That's
Super Mario World. It's
and
probably because
then
of all that nostalgia, but
I mean, it really is. I think it's good. I know a lot of people, and this might make a lot of people mad. I know a lot of people have affinity for like Super Mario Bros. 3.
yeah, I like World
I
better.
love World. World
Yeah,
is
I'm in
just
the same
there's
boat.
something about it. Still to this day, when someone says like, "Hey Mario," like that's the first thing I think of
That
is
music,
World.
even like the overworld
Yeah,
music, it's just like I hear that every time
so
every time I
the
think about
art
World.
style. Damn,
So
dude,
good.
it's so good. It's
So
so
good.
good. And then yeah, I was similar to me. Yeah, Donkey Kong Country. Like I had a lot of those
Yeah.
same games for sure.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
but
awesome,
I didn't
man.
touch on a lot of like that was like my Super Nintendo experience, because after that I jumped right into Nintendo 64, and I
Nice.
was definitely a Nintendo kid for a very long time. So I had obviously Game Boy Color, all of that. My first handheld was actually a Sega Game Gear. I had a guy,
Wow.
some college guy was that came to his door, and he was like selling some of his old stuff, and he had a Game Gear, and he had like Earthworm Jim and Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic Spinball, and I asked my mom to get it for me, and then that's how I got introduced to Sonic too, because I love Sonic, even though Sonic has
That's so cool.
gone into like a very weird turn recently, but that's how I was like playing my massive Sega Game Gear and playing Sonic the Hedgehog on it.
Did he sell you the batteries with it too? Because I know the thing was a battery drain.
No, there was no batteries. I had to get
Dang
batteries,
it.
but yes, there was lots of batteries that I had gone through with that thing.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah,
So if you had to, I know it's not easy to like pick a one game and say this is my favorite game of all time. Do
yeah.
you have like a couple that mean a lot to you? You've mentioned a couple, but do you have a lot that like really connect with you emotionally, or just like you can look back and say like,
Yeah.
hey, like out of everything I've played, these for sure stand out.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Super Mario World and Ocarina of Time being played at very pivotal points of my life and very emotional parts of my life. You know, like Super Mario World kind of, without me really realizing it as a kid, helped me concentrate and help me. And that kind of like that related to school too. Like I did better in school when I wasn't getting in trouble as much. And I was like, oh wow, I'm not just like
That's so
a
cool.
dumb kid that gets in trouble a lot. I just have a hard time concentrating. And Ocarina of Time being like, I still remember, and I think this is a lot of people have this too, like walking out to Hyrule Field and being like, oh, video games are more than just like this fun thing. They're like this exploratory game too. Like I can explore this world and go through that. So those are two big ones. Pokemon, dude. I I played Red and Blue, and I've played kind of all of them since then. I don't know what. I mean, I do know what the big hook was. It's Pokemon. Catching small creatures and walking around this world was a very addictive. And I was at the perfect age at the perfect time. So just like all of like the advertising with the television show, the anime, and everything, and the movies and the card games, I was like, no, I just absorbed all of that. That's probably been probably the biggest is Pokemon.
I would have to agree with you there. The time it came along, it was just so. It was a combination of everything about that time that it came along. It was just made it so perfect for that to take off. And you're right. I've often thought about, because that's big in my life too. It almost wasn't for a time. I played Gen 1 and 2, and then after Gen 2, I kind of fell off till I think it was Black and White.
Oh, wow.
And I came back in college. Yeah, because in high school, everyone was like playing like Call of Duty and stuff. And so that's what all my friends were playing. So I wanted to play with them.
Yeah.
And then I got to college, and like all my friends had DSs, and they were like, yeah, we just got like new Pokemon came out. And I was like, oh, okay, like here we go. Like this is awesome.
Back at it again. No, I was always a nerdy kid. I was like, I'm just playing Pokemon. I don't care. I'm gonna play Pokemon forever. There was definitely a time where I was like, oh, you're playing Pokemon? That's weird. And I was like, whatever. I'm playing Emerald. You don't even understand. You know what a Rayquaza is? Psh, whatever.
Yeah, get out of here, man. Yeah. But you mentioned. You're right. You're like something about Pokemon, and I've often thought about it a lot, because it's like what is it about it? It's so like simplistic in its nature, but it's so just like you love it when you play it. And I haven't been able to like boil down, like quantify like why exactly that is. Like you love catching them, you love battling them, you love playing them, you love watching the numbers go up. Like it hits all those ticks, but it's just something about all that thrown in there together. It's just.
Well, and so many people have tried to replicate that too. And there's just something about like Game Freak's art design or their how they go about it, that it just like has this quality to it. But like other ones, there's a couple that have been good. Like Temtem's really good, and I played I can't think of the name of it right now. Nexomon. Nexomon's fun too. Okay. Those got close, but even in Nexomon, some of the creatures are like, okay, what is that thing? What am I looking at right now?
Right. It was very. I mean, after that, a lot of the spin-offs and stuff did come. I remember, like shortly after that, the follow-up was Digimon, and that was just not nearly as successful.
Still going hard though. There's so many Digimon games. There's a new one coming out this year.
And they originally they redid like the original first season of the anime in new, and I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. And I went and watched it, and it's like. It's not like a kid's show now. It's like full anime. And I was like, this is actually pretty fun.
I'll have to check it out. I watched the original and all the movies back in the day, but I saw they're going to remake it, and I was like, it's Digimon.
The remade like first like series with those first kids or whatever. It's I think it's on Hulu, and it's super intense. I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check it out, because that sounds awesome.
Yeah. But like you're saying, it's surprising to me, because I mean, I love Pokemon. I've played every game that's come out since Black and White. I would never go as far to say that, as far as like games that come out in a year, that a Pokemon title is like the best game that comes out that year.
Yeah,
which is surprising, because every time they come out, it's like they blow everything else out of the water, and it's. And it's obviously the biggest brand of the years. It's the biggest brand of all time.
Yeah, because I'll play things like like Horizon Forbidden, or I play like Horizon Zero Dawn in those games, and like understand like that's an incredible game, beautiful, like mechanically just like perfect, and that game looks really well. It's done really well, and then just like Pokemon doesn't like live up to that, but for some reason it just hooks me every time, man.
It does, and it really hooks you. I can't say the same thing about, like, if I guess Forbidden West is a good example. If I'm sitting down and playing a Pokemon game, I can very easily like look at the clock and it's like 10 a.m. and then look at the clock and it's like 5 p.m. It easily, like, no problem. But with like Horizon, I find myself struggling to like sit down and play it for like that long period of time. Like Pokemon is one of the rare games where I can just sit down and be like, oh my god, I just lost the whole day on this game. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I
That's
jump
crazy to
back and
think
play
about.
old ones all the time too. Like I'm constantly, and what I've been doing last couple of years recently too is like the ROM hack community just does some amazing work with some of these games. Like between building like actually narratively compelling stories and characters to adding like quality of life things that have never been added into the game and to kind of some of the old ones and everything. And it's just like it's crazy what people that are very passionate about this series can do with it.
My favorite are the people that build the randomizers because
Oh, randomizers are
when I
so
first
fun.
and I've wanted to play one, I've never played one before, but just the
Oh,
idea to me that you don't know what you're going to get where you go is so cool. I think that's like it adds a whole new layer of the game because yeah, after you've played the game through a few times, you're like, okay, I know what to expect on this route or like in this gym or whatever. But
right.
if everything's randomized and everything's in play, you have no idea. It could be anything.
And I think that's what
so
like
cool.
builds the replayability of it too. Because usually when I go back and play some of these older games, I am randomizing them, and a lot of games like Gen 4, like a reason I played BESP, Brilliant Diamond, and Shining Pearl. I had a lot of nostalgia for that, but going back and playing it, I was like, it is not good as I remember because of the Pokemon they give you access to throughout the game. There's a lot of repeats, and you don't get access to a lot of
Right.
different variety of Pokemon until like post game kind of stuff. And a randomizer completely mitigates that because you can walk in the grass and run into a Charizard, or you can run into a Caterpie in the same area. There's the possibilities are kind of endless, and I think that helps with that issue too.
It'd be cool to go back and play, randomizers of all the versions that I really like just to see how that changes the game because
Yeah,
spacing and what you have where definitely affects that.
absolutely.
Do you have like a personal favorite gen of yours?
Oh man.
If you had to pick one, I don't know if you can narrow it down to just one.
Yeah, I like them all for different reasons, but I think
Definitely.
and nostalgia might play into this too. But Emerald, like Gen 3, Ruby and Sapphire, those are just like going back and playing them and just hearing like the music, the trumpets, and everything. It's just like, oh, this is great. This is a fun time.
Looking back at the time, I know Emerald was a titan of a game
Oh,
around that
absolutely.
era. It definitely was.
Yeah.
For me, I really really like Gen 2. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
it holds such a special, and especially the Soul Silver Heart Gold versions of Gen 2.
Oh, they're so good.
I love those games so much. I don't
They
know what it is about. They're unique among Pokemon games because they have like two regions in one, which is
that's what's
yeah.
really cool. I have the same issues that I have with Diamond and Pearl, where they don't give you a lot of access to a lot of variety until later
I
on.
agree.
But having just two whole regions and a whole like second set of gyms that you can battle, like that's just so cool. And the pacing is like relatively well. I mean, you're getting to the Elite Four in like 40s with that game because of how much more content there is afterward.
Right.
But I love Gen 2.
Yeah, and I just love the story around Gen 2 as well, where, former and late president of Nintendo, Satoru Iwata, he basically jumped in and like saved that game because they were like, oh, well, how do we get like both these regions on like the small cartridge? And he like basically invented like a brand new way to do it, which is like, that's insane to think about now in like the gaming industry because everything is so cut and dry the way everything is done. And just to hear like back then, he was just like, yeah, like I'll figure this out and just like comes up with like a brand new way to like load games out of cartridges
together. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's insane.
Oh man, I love Iwata.
It's I do. I miss that man very much, even though I've never met him. But yeah, he was he was great. I miss him and I miss Reggie very much.
Oh yeah, Reggie was great.
Reggie was great. It's a lifelong goal to get Reggie on the podcast one day.
That would be incredible. I would love to meet Reggie and pick his brain about Nintendo stuff.
I would too. So I wanted to, we mentioned it at the top of the show. I wanted to just kind of get your thoughts on some more of the recent Pokemon news, like Legends Arceus. I wanted to get your thoughts on how you felt about that, and with obviously we got Scarlet and Violet announced recently too,
excited.
which that surprised me honestly. After we just had a big game like Arceus come out,
Yeah.
so yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Legends Arceus is great. Just kind of borderline statement. No, I
agree.
I was excited for it, but I didn't know how much I would enjoy it. Like an open world Pokemon is what everybody's always wanted, and this one's not open into this literal term of the world. It's more segmented, large areas, similar to something like Monster Hunter. But man, the mechanics of the game are just so fluid and smooth. Like I can throw Pokeballs in that game all day. I'll just waste them. It's just fun to toss Pokeballs around.
Feels
Like
so good.
yeah, they did a really good job on that. I know a lot of people like griped about the visuals. I think that it has like a nice art style to it. I know a lot of people complain because going from like Sun and Moon or Sword and Shield to this one's very kind of bland when it comes to its color palette. But I really like the art style. Like the graphics aren't kind of anything to drive home about because they're not like these incredible graphics that we've seen. But that I guess just for myself, that's never kind of that. I don't expect that with a Pokemon game per se. Even if you go back to like the Game Boy ones, like they were never like the biggest quality and the biggest graphical powerhouses ever.
Right. I always tell people, like, I think that argument is really stupid. Not to like insult anybody, but I'm not calling you stupid. I apologize. You're allowed to have your own opinion. Nobody should be playing the Switch for graphics. Like that's the thing. You shouldn't be, and you shouldn't. Like Pokemon's never been like this incredible. Like go play Horizon Forbidden West then if you want amazing graphics. Like that's not what Pokemon is. Like it's never going to be, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't expect it from that. Like it's just not.
And like you were saying, that opinion is fine. But for myself, like those things never pull me out of the experience. It has never gotten to a point where I play those games and I'm like, look at that shitty rock or look at this awful dirt tile. And I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm washing my hands of this and I'm never play it again. No, that was never the case. Right. I think the story is a more compelling one than normal. It's still not fantastic. But I think it's one of the better ones. It's definitely one of the more interesting Pokemon narratives.
It was fascinating.
Granted, that's kind of a low bar when it comes to Pokemon games, but exploring a region, before civilization, before people and Pokemon really had this relationship was a cool concept. And I think they did it in a very good way in this game where the town you start in, Jubilife, starts off just barren of any kind of Pokemon presence. But as you do side quests and as you talk to people and as you introduce people to these creatures, more and more Pokemon populate this area, and it makes it's a way more lived in world. It feels more lived in than it has ever had before.
Arceus was fresh, and that's what I constantly describe to people is it was such a, if you've played all these games, it was such a, like the core elements of Pokemon are still there, but it's presented in such it's such a different take that, and it's been really refreshing to play that game just to have like a different take on the formula, which still works, and I don't have a problem with it, but it's so refreshing. And I think too, something that was refreshing for me as well is I always find that I've reached a point in a Pokemon game where I just kind of like, I feel like I'm snowballing, like my level's high and like I get, it just kind of snowballs from there. I never felt that way in Arceus. There were like battles towards like the end of like the original main story where like I felt, I'm like, dude, I'm like level 70. I got to be fine. And these guys are throwing out like level 70, level 72. And I'm like,
what's happening?
Dude, I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm like, what the heck? So like there was actually like the last couple of battles, not to like spoil anything, I was like actually really sweating and like really enjoying and trying to strategize.
With a lot of those end battles.
Yeah.
Like they were like an interesting challenge.
And I was just, I enjoyed that so much because I was like, this actually feels like a titanic struggle happening right now. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, so, definitely. It's interesting really how they can almost take out or lessen some aspects of the game and still have kind of the foundation stay there. Like they did it with Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, where you weren't battling wild Pokemon, you were just tossing Pokeballs at them, but it still felt like Pokemon. Like battling, catching, all this stuff is very like pinnacle points to the formula, but even taking them out or lessening them doesn't like remove this feeling like Pokemon. And especially with like Legends Arceus, how, obviously battles are more not dumbed down because they definitely get complicated, but they're less of a focus than they have been in previous games. And obviously the competitive aspect has been taken out, but it still feels foundationally what we like. Pokemon's about exploring and catching these creatures. And I think as long as you do those two things well, then you're going to hook people.
I agree. And it's given me a little bit of hope, especially in with the last couple of years with some of the things that they've tried. You have like new Pokemon Snap that came out that looked really great, and I felt was awesome for them to hand that over to Bandai Namco to do. And then obviously with things like Pokemon Unite and now Legends Arceus, it's cool that they're
They're trying
like
new
starting
things.
to, yeah, and I think that's great because I think there's a lot of things you could do with different types of stories in that world, and that's actually like super exciting.
Yeah.
Not that I think they should like stop making mainline Pokemon games. I think that that's something that we always definitely need.
Yeah. There's
But I would
opportunities
love,
for more.
yeah, I would love to see, yeah, some of these other, like, I would like if we did Legends Arceus, let's do like Legends. I don't know, let's go to another region and do it,
Celebi.
or
Let's do
something.
Gen 2 in that era.
Dude, that would be pretty cool. With all the birds and stuff. That would be
Well,
super cool.
not only
I would love
that, but
that.
Gen 2 has such kind of like a historical narrative to it anyways. Like you
Yeah,
can go into like the Celebi stuff, or you can go into like the legendary dogs and Ho-Oh, because the story with that's really tragic too, and like
you can.
exploring that
Yeah,
side of it. So that would be really cool.
yeah, I agree. I think that's something we definitely need to push Nintendo for sure. So,
Yeah, more
um,
Legends Arceus styled games we do want. I mean,
I
it's sold amazing,
agree.
so I mean, hopefully they see that and be like, "Oh, cool, people like this."
What did you think? Just real quick,
Yeah,
what did you think about the announcement of the new gen? We got Scarlet, we got Violet. What did you think about that?
hyped for it, super excited. I think that, and I know there's a lot of conversation online where it's like too early kind of situation, and it may be too early in the sense of we did get a large game fairly recently, but in the sense of like if you follow the generations previously, we are right on track. Ever since X and Y had came out in 2013, every 3 years we've gotten a new generation, and this year marks 3 years since Sword and Shield. So this is exactly on track when we were supposed to get another generation. It feels soon because we got BDSP the fall last year, Arceus the beginning of this year, and now Scarlet and Violet towards the end of this year. So it feels like a lot right away. But I think they knew this concept was gonna work and gonna hook people. Like it's not like they were like testing the waters with Arceus and then doing it, because Arceus just came out. Like Sword and Shield's really the test for this, and they said, okay, we can do this in a semi-open world. Let's expand on this going forward. But I'm excited. It hasn't been super confirmed, but it looks like it's going to take place in Spain, and there's so many opportunities for that. If we don't get a dolphin Pokemon this time, I'm gonna revolt. I'm not gonna actually not play it, but I'm gonna be upset, Nintendo. Okay,
Right.
we need a dolphin
That
Pokemon. There's none.
let's make it happen. Come on. No
Make it
more no
happen.
more sandcastles. Let's get Dolphin. Let's
Ooh,
let's
I
go.
like the
Come on.
sandcastles though. That
Oh,
was a cool
that's fair.
Pokemon.
That was the first one that came to mind as like it was an
Uh,
actual thing.
the
Yeah,
starters
I
are
think
really cool. I think this is kind of one of the other generations, and I had this with I think Gen 3, where I was like, all these are great. Like I don't know who I'm going to pick. Like in the last couple
yeah.
games, I've definitely like, oh, I'm going to pick this one, or I'm going to pick this one, but this one I'm just like, I don't know who I'm going to choose.
I've already made up my mind because as soon as I saw him, I was like, "That's what I'm going with. I got to go with my Fire Croc boy. It's
Oh,
gonna happen."
the
Like,
fire. I really hope he's like Fire
Fuecoco.
Dragon. Fuecoco would be a cool like Fire Dragon. Um,
Yes,
I I don't know. There's a little hipster in me that just wants to do Quaxley because he's the most underrated one. But
he
I
looks
have
sassy AF.
he really does. I have picked the grass type both last generations. In Sun and Moon, I went with Rowlet, and then last generation with Sword and Shield, I went with Grookey. So I was like, oh, and I usually don't pick
Nice.
grass types, so I was like, maybe I'll go with Quaxley. He's a cool little duck. I'll go with him.
I'm the same way. So in Sun and Moon, I picked Rowlet too, and
Yeah.
I normally stick with waters, except a couple gens I did go fire. Yeah, I went Rowlet, and then the only other gen I've actually gone on my way to go grass is Gen 3. I love Trico so
Oh,
much.
Trico's so cool. I love Trico.
Just because I loved Grovyle in the anime so much, so I was just like, I
Yeah.
gotta have him, obviously. So
Yeah.
yeah, I am super excited for it. I think it's definitely, like you said, I think that the formula now is mainline game every 3 years,
Yeah.
and like around 1.5 years, like release whatever the remake is, because obviously we're heading, they're not gonna not do like X and Y remake, right?
Right.
Like I
Well,
think
now they
have
have
to,
they have a separate team almost for it too now.
exactly. So I think that, and I know just from reputation that like X and Y is one of like the more favorably looked on of the last probably like
Yeah.
generations. Probably, I know X and Y also has like a pretty good story. So I
Yeah.
think
It's
obviously
weird.
X and Y
It's
remake
definitely a weird story, but it'd be cool for
It
them to
is.
expand on it.
It would be. So I think X and Y remake is probably, so yeah, we'll probably do this 1.5 years X and Y remake, and then obviously this will have the Scarlet and Violet will have DLC of some kind with it, because that's the DLC model is probably replacing the third gen, or the third
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
XYZ come out,
Mhm.
like that type of thing. I just wanted to ask you a couple Pokemon related questions. So we talked
I'm
about your
always
favorite
asking
version
Pokemon
generation. Do you have a favorite starter that you like out of all the starters, or do you have like a top three
Ooh.
of all the starters you like?
Out of Swampert is one of my favorites. I think out of that Gen 3 Swampert is great. I think he has a cool design.
Swampert's
His Mega
awesome.
Evolution is also really cool. I really like Torterra. I'm a big Turtwig fan. I think a dopey little grass turtle is awesome, and I love him.
Love
Um,
Torterra.
Probably between those two.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Swampert. Mudkip's adorable. I think Swampert's definitely my favorite starter.
Definitely. I'm a big fan of Swampert from that gen.
Yeah.
For me, I know I'm gonna sound like the stereotypical, but I mean, from day one, it's been Blastoise, it's been Squirtle, it's always been Squirtle. I have a Squirtle plushie up on my shelf, so
That's awesome.
I love Squirtle. I love Cyndaquil from Gen 2, and then
Cyndaquil's great.
I really have a special place in my heart for Rowlet. Rowlet was super cool that gen.
I mean, a grass owl
awesome.
archer. I mean, and he turns into a grass ghost. How can that not be cool? How can that not just work?
I loved him so much. He was fantastic. So,
and it was cool seeing his new form in Legends Arceus too.
That was cool. I did end up going with Samurott over him though, just
I
because
went with Typhlosion.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I liked the design of the new Samurott. He was like the water dark. I thought that was super cool, and I was just like, okay, I got it.
I gotta go with it. Even though I didn't I didn't love Typhlosion's design too much because it doesn't vary a lot from his original design. Fire Ghost is such a cool typing, so I was like, I gotta go with Typhlosion.
Was super cool, yeah. So last question I want to ask you. So you're on your own journey, right? Who's your team? What's your six?
Oh
normally
man,
have to go with out of all 800, 900, however many there are now. What's your
many
six?
goddamn Pokemon.
Doesn't have to be like competitively viable. It can be like whatever six you want.
No, I'm going with teams of favorites. That's what I always do. I'll sometimes go with like, oh, these ones are really good, but then like if I play through Pokemon games again, I'm just like, let's try some less known Pokemon that I haven't played before.
Right.
Chandelure. I think Chandelure, even though he's just a Chandelier Pokemon, again, I don't know. I like Fire Ghost. Fire Ghost is a cool mixture. Also, Litwick's adorable, so that's my first one.
100%.
I already picked a ghost type. I really do love the Sandcastle.
It's all ghosts.
I'm just gonna go mono ghost.
The ghosts are the coolest.
In Generation 8, we got a Pokemon, Centiskorch and Sizzlepede. They were kind of the fire centipedes. That was probably one of my favorite Pokemon from that generation, and he's still cool. He has a little mustache. How can you not love him? I like cute, weird Pokemon. Scizor is one of my favorites, and I love Scizor from Gen 2. Just like seeing Scyther get that glow up is like, oh, it's awesome. That's only half. Okay, I have a lot of weaknesses here with my type too.
You gotta make sure you're covered, right?
Let's see. We're putting Swampert on the team because Swampert's great. Water Ground is very weak to grass, but we got Scizor in here to resist that. Let's see. There's so many Pokemon. I gotta have a Gen 4 pick. I really like Gliscor. I think Gliscor is a cool Pokemon. I liked Gligar in the beginning too. Gligar was always one of my favorites, and I think his evolution is really cool. Last one, let's throw Legendary on there. I'm gonna pick Darkrai. I think Darkrai has such a cool design, and he's definitely one of my favorite mythicals. And he's definitely not a great Pokemon competitively, but he has a cool design, and I like him.
Definitely.
There's a dreams.
Yeah.
Team.
Okay. So, that's pretty good. Okay, if I got to do six, so I have one starter and one legendary. I make that the rule, right? Okay. So, the first half of my team is, I always call it the Gary Oak team, right? Because for whatever reason, he was a giant douche in the anime, but I loved his team. So he had Blastoise and he had Arcanine. So
great picks.
To this day, Arcanine's my favorite, and Blastoise is one of my favorite. And then in the second season, or the second when he was in Johto, he had Umbreon. So Umbreon, I always go with the Gary Oak, Blastoise, Arcanine, Umbreon for like the first, and then I don't know why. It's just what it always has been.
Nice.
I really like, was that Gen 5 that had Crocodile in it?
Yes, Gen 5.
I love Crocodile.
Crocodile's a great design. He's so cool.
He has like the glasses and almost like just one cool mofo for sure. I love Dragonite. I love that he's just a giant derpy looking dragon.
Yep.
And then if I had to pick like a legendary or mythical, there's so many.
I know.
There's so many.
Not that there's thousands to choose from.
Yeah, my favorite is probably Mew.
Mm-hmm.
I love Mew. Mew is my cousin's favorite Pokemon, and I love
Mew's
any
great.
chance to like get him.
You can learn any move too, so that's like you can go anywhere you want with Mew.
He's wild. You can just do all kinds of crazy shit with him. I had him on my Brilliant Diamond team because you can get him like relatively early. And so I was just like using him to just cover like any weaknesses I didn't have. So I was just like, teach him Psychic, and then the 3 other moves is just whatever I need him to cover.
Just random moves.
Yeah. You know what I always never appreciated until I think it was like Sun and Moon,
mm-hmm.
or maybe it was X or Black and White. I don't know, or X and Y. I don't know, whichever one. Until then, I had like never ever used like fighting types ever. I had avoided fighting types.
So good.
I did. I was just like, it's not really like that cool.
Yeah.
But I think it was whatever the gen was. I had Hariyama on my team.
Yeah. That
I was like, I need fighting.
Great.
Yeah. But I had him on my team in like Sun and Moon, and I was like,
yeah.
I need him to like cover my weaknesses and stuff. And I was like, I'll just keep him for a while. And then I ended up like, keep him out. And now like every run since then, I've had like some kind of fighting in my team. I, ran with Pangoro and Sun and Moon, or Sword and Shield. And then,
right.
I think I went with Machamp in Brilliant Diamond. I think I was running most of the time, or until I got Lucario. And so,
Lucario is great. Having the extra steel typing for Lucario is fantastic. Hariyama was great too, because usually these fighting types are little glass cannons, but Hariyama he's a thick boy. He's bulky.
He's a super thick boy, and he's a little slow, but I was like, man, he's thick, and he gets the job done for sure. So, awesome. So, before we go, Jared, and I'm super excited that you're here for this, because I got a couple messages that I needed to bring this back by popular demand, right? And so I'm bringing back, or I'm actually stealing a segment from SideQuesting Podcast, and we're going to bring back PokeDex, please.
Yay, I love the PokeDex please in your other show, so I'm here for it.
You suggested one time. I don't remember who it was. Oh, it was Serena. It was Serena. That's who it was.
Yes.
Sorry, yes. Where you just get kicked and then you don't ever heal and then you just die. So that's terrifying. But
awful way to go.
So
unless you're into that.
I went into the dregs of the internet to look up messed up Pokedex entries, and then what we do is we read them and discuss like how terrifying it would actually be to like live in the world of Pokemon, because they're cute, they're cuddly, but if you read some of the Pokedex entries, they're actually super terrifying.
Yes.
So today our Pokedex please specimen would be Gorbis from Gen 3 Ruby Sapphire Emerald.
Gorbis is a gross Pokemon.
It's super gross.
Why did it have a little shell bra? That's weird.
It evolves from Clamperl while holding a Deep Sea Scale. The other evolved form, you could evolve into Huntail, which I totally forgot Huntail existed because I looked it up and
everybody
I was like,
forgets that Huntail exists. Don't worry. He's a very forgettable Pokemon.
So Gorbis is 5'11", stretched out, which would be as tall as me. I'm 5'11" on the dot, which is terrifying. Only 49 pounds though, so it's kind of weird.
Oh, interesting. That's weird.
So, but Jared, our Pokedex entries come from, I actually put 2 on there. I put 1 from Gen 6 from Alpha Sapphire and 1 from Gen 7 from Ultra Moon. So, I'll read the Ultra Moon one first. It sucks bodily fluids out of its prey.
Oh no.
The leftover meat sinks to the seafloor where it becomes food for other Pokemon.
This is the thing. There's lots of talk of like things eating things and people eating things. Like Pokemon have to eat each other. We have to eat Pokemon, right? That's just a given, right? People eat Pokemon.
I would have to think so. I mean, Krabbies and look really good, and Shelders are like oysters, right? So I mean,
if you've never had Tauros meat, you are missing out.
Dude, the Tauros steak, baby. Then you get the good flank. That's great. The Gen 6 entry from Alpha Sapphire isn't much nicer. It says, although Gorbis is the very picture of elegance and beauty while swimming, it is also cruel. When it spots prey, this Pokemon inserts its thin mouth into the prey's body and drains the prey of its bodily fluids.
That one's way worse. That one's so much worse.
It's so much worse. It's terrible. So, I mean, Jared, just imagine you're like swimming along, like minding your own business, right? And then you like brush up against something, and then like all of a sudden you feel like a sharp pain, and next thing you know, you're being scrunched down like a juice box.
No, I'm not. I'm not here for that. I'm throwing my Pokeball at it and I'm catching it, and then I'm just going to like dump all the Gorbis into like a meat grinder or an Inferno and just get rid of all
Make
of them.
a Gorbis fucking sushi, right?
Exactly.
But
Gorbis sashimi.
Yeah, man, Gorbis is just you're getting drank. I mean, that's
either way. Both of those are the options. That's what it does, apparently.
It's truly. I mean, you hear of things in nature doing that, like how the starfish can like remove their stomachs and like push it into what they're eating and just eat them from the inside, like crazy
That's
stuff.
Awful.
Like that.
That's terrible. Never go into the ocean. It's only filled with gross, terrible things.
The deeper you go, the more nightmare fuel there is.
Right,
you reach
exactly.
the nightmare zone of the ocean. But
yeah,
Gorbis.
So weird.
I mean, Gorbis will drink you if you're not careful, man. It's
Gorbis will drink you.
You gotta watch out for that. This has been PokeDex. Please stay tuned for more awesome.
Please do more. These are always so fun, and they're always wild.
I will, just because it doesn't sound ridiculous until you read it out loud, and then you're just like, wow, that's actually terrifying.
I feel like a lot of people, myself included, usually ignore the Pokedex entries, especially for a long time. Fairly recently now, I've gone out of my way to look at them, but it's just like, I think that's why they like did some weird shit in the beginning, and then no one said anything, and they're like, oh, no one looks at things, let's just get weird with it, and then that's how we got Gorbis.
Awful. And then you get like Drifloon like
taking children
and yes,
that's awful.
We should. I mean, I always say it would be super cool to live in the world of Pokemon, but it would also be a living nightmare.
It'd be
so. Yes, this has been PokeDex, please, and that's gonna bring us to the conclusion of the episode. Jared, I gotta say, man, this was awesome.
It was so fun. Thanks for having me on that. This was cool.
Dude, it was great, and I'm so happy I finally got to have you on and just nerd out a little bit. It was so great. Thank you. Do you want to just kind of pitch your show, share what you do, share your socials and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So we are a Play Along podcast where play through games in a book club, audiobook kind of style. That's kind of where I've been pushing it, because someone had brought it to our attention that it's like we also not only talk about the game, but go into excruciating detail what happens during the game. So if you're trying to avoid spoilers, maybe play the game first, or if you don't mind it, then come and hang out. But yeah, you can find us anywhere that you have podcasts. If there's some weird, obscure, like underground podcast, Podchaser you're listening to and we're not on there, let us know and we'll try our best. But we have a link tree that has all of our social medias, our Discord, everything. Come hang out and talk about games. We have a lot of fun there.
The Discord is a lot of fun, even though I'm trying to be more active, because I do this terrible thing where I like join a Discord and then be active for a little bit, and then I just forget that I'm in a Discord, because I have to, for my sanity, turn off all the mobile notifications. Otherwise,
especially if you're in more than one. Like that was my thing before. I've just recently had to get a new account because I couldn't get into my old one, so I've kind of been like a wiped clean slate. But my other account had like, I don't know, like 10 Discord servers I was in, and they're just constant. I have had to mute servers because it's just like, that's too many notifications.
Turn off mobile notifications is terrible.
Yeah.
But I'm in there. A lot of our other friends are in there too. It's super fun time.
Always.
For sure. And then I'll link all your stuff in the show notes down below, all that good stuff. So if you want to find it, it's down there. Same thing with mine. I'm not gonna shill mine. There's a link tree on somewhere, and
it's somewhere
in the notes. It's down there if you really want to make the effort to follow me. I make jokes sometimes on the internet. I don't know. It is what it is.
The Kingdom Hearts thing that I shared with Hank Hill and Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh! I thought was the perfect representation of that game that I had ever seen.
I was dying. It was so funny. I was in OSHA training class today, and I was like audibly like let a laugh like out in the middle of class, because it was so funny, dude.
I saw it and I was like, yeah, that's Kingdom Hearts. That's in a nutshell right there.
It really is. It's like that's the most accurate. Whenever people just ask me what Kingdom Hearts is, I'm just going to show them that.
Show them
this
this is what you're getting into. You're like, oh,
absolutely bizarre. Now I need like fan fiction of Hank Hill and do like Yugi. Like, if anybody's listening, please draw that, and it's that would be so cool. I'm not talented enough to draw it, otherwise I would for sure.
I need that in my life now.
Yes. Maybe if you draw it, I'll get it tattooed on myself somewhere. I don't know.
Oh God, that sounds like a mistake.
I shouldn't. I don't know if I should commit to that on the internet because then somebody will. Like Keith will hire somebody to do it or something for sure. Right. Yeah. So, yeah, guys, this has been the Unlockables podcast. Thank you so much for listening, Jared. Thank you so much again, my friend. This was awesome.
This was so fun, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. And I'm already gonna get you scheduled to come back on again for sure.
Sweet.
All right. Have a good. I guess it's whenever, day, night, whenever you're listening. Have a good time. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.